Hello guys, let's continue the new object in the ABAP. So that is the forms. The purpose of the form, which is used to generate business documents that must be printed, emailed, or displayed the format and layout how exactly the client want. It's not just raw data. For example, if you see in the report, that is the raw data. Okay. So what this form does is they convert the SAP data into professional and the business friendly output. So we are having the report why we are going with the forms. For example, if you see in the reports, whether it was ALV report or classical report, so it show the tabular data for the report analysis, and it was mainly used for the internally. Okay, it was no graphics, no layouts, and when you see the forms, okay, it show the formatted document so that they could print that particular form also used externally. That means they are going to send um, that particular form to the vendors or the customers. The forms, it supports the header and the signature part, and the main output which we will be getting in the form of a PDF. Okay, and same thing we can send to the email also. If we talk about the overall explanation, what is a form? Forms in the ABAP are used whenever the company needs to send or print document like invoices, purchase orders, or pay slips. They make the raw SAP data into the look professional and business ready. This is the simple explanation of forms. When it comes to the forms, there are three types of forms, or we can say the first one is SAP script. The second one is smartforms, and the third one is Adobe Forms, which will be trend now. For example, if we talk about the older technology, which is the oldest, so nowadays nobody is using that. There are rare cases you will get this kinds of a requirement, particularly in the SAP script, because it's hard to maintain each and everything in the SAP script because there is a limited set of options will be it. If you want to create a form using the SAP script, you have to go with the transaction code called as SE71. This is the transaction for code for the SAP script. So what are the drawbacks and the disadvantages what the SAP script has? So the updation of the SAP script is the smartforms. Okay. So the T code is the name itself, the form name itself, the T code. T code also smartforms. Okay, smartforms. And by replacing some of the features with the smartphone like interactive PDF, and there are so many things, drag and drop options, and the it integrates with the different types of layouts. Okay, so by adding these so many kinds of options which we don't have in the smart form. So the updation of smart form is Adobe form is everybody is using now. The transaction code to create an Adobe form using the transaction code called as SFP. So firstly, we'll see the smart forms. Okay, smart forms. So you can go to in the SAP GUI, the T code called as smart forms. Okay, smart forms. This is the T code which you seen. This is the smart form, and you can provide any smart form name. SMF, Jet, SMF, sales orders. Okay. So now go for the create. Okay. Uh, Sales orders extraction, I can say. Okay. This is the description for the form. Let's talk about here. In the global settings, you will be having the form attributes, the form interface, global definitions. The form attributes, which it includes the general information of a smartphone. When the smartphone was created, at what date it was created, at what time it was created, what package it is stored. Okay. So see, who is the user to create this particular smartphone, when it was created, at what time it was created. These are the things, basic options is available in the form attributes. If you see in the form interface, okay, form interface, and the form interface, if you talk about, it tells you the purpose is to pass input and output parameters. For example, like how we will be having the selection screen in the ABAP report. Similarly, we will be having if you want to provide some input parameters and the output parameters, so you have to define those in the form interface. Okay, form interface. The next one is global definitions. Let me see here, global definitions. The global definitions. So which it includes the global data. So that means once you declared here, this should be accessed at anywhere in the smartphone. Okay, anywhere in the smartphone. For example, my dear, if you compare with the local and the global, you can take it as a structure. If you declare any structure in the SE11, so that is accessed, okay, that is accessed everywhere. You can reuse that wherever you want. But when it comes to the local structure, which you can't reuse that. So similarly, if you declare anything here, you can use the anywhere inside the form wherever you use it. Okay, this is the way. So you can declare here internal table, you can declare the work area, you can declare anything. Okay, and this is the global data like internal table, work areas, variables, types. If you want to declare a structure, you can define here types. If you want to define field symbols, so in the initialization, you have to return code for it. Okay, whatever the logic which you want to maintain for the smart form, so you can define in the, or you can implement in the initialization. Okay, these are the things which are the basic things which we need to have the things. Okay, so let's create one basic smart form which we will be having. Okay, So we'll be explaining the each and everything in detail. So please make sure that watch the complete recording. Okay. For example, my dear, so if you go into this page section, see the page. For example, if you see in the PDF, okay, if the one page is completed, it automatically coming into the next page. Even you can understand like a MS Word. So once you finish up that page, you are automatically navigate into the following page. Okay, that means the next page. So that so for example, uh, you are having the continuous data. For example, you will be having the table. Okay, the table data will be flows because if the number of records are increasing, it will come to the next page. So that means you have to create the next page also, right? So like this, if you want to create multiple pages, you can also do that. Okay. Under the page, you will be having a concept called as window. Okay. Firstly, in the window, you will be having the four types of windows. For example, by default, one page will be added for each of the smartphone. Okay, for each of the smartphone. If you go with the main window, okay, if you double click on this main window, this should be opened. Here, window type. If you click on this drop down, you will be seeing the four types of windows: the main window, secondary window, copies window, final window. Okay. Main window is used for the continuous output. For example, my dear. So in the page one, I'm displaying data in the form of a tabular format. But, but So I'm limiting 1,000 entries. Those 1,000 entries is not fitted into page one only. It's flowed to the next page also. It's flowed to the next page also. The benefit of using the main window, you don't need to create a next page also. It's automatically flowing into the next pages if the data is more than fitted to the current page. We can simply say it's used for the continuous output. The second one, we will be having the window as secondary window. By default, whenever you create a smart form, you will get a main window. This window we are not created. This window will be automatically coming whenever you create a smart form. But the next time, whenever you will create a new window in this current page, okay, in this page, you would see by default, it will be the secondary window. Okay, it's not just theoretical. Let me show you the practical also. For example, if you right click on the page, create, you will be having the window, right? I want to create a window. Click on this. So now you can see by default, the window type is secondary window. Secondary window, okay, is used for the printing for a fixed length. Fixed length. For example, if you see here, okay, there is a window one, there is a rectangle button, right? This is the width of the window one. If you are trying to print more than this text or more than this width text, that is not going to be allowed because this window is fixed for the only this length, this height, okay. It is only apt for the okay. It's only apt for the fixed length. This is for the secondary window. The next one is copy window. Okay, copy window. The copy window, it's a kind of similar to the secondary window. So if you want to take the copy of the smartform pages, you can take by using the copies window. The last and the final window we will be having is final window. Final window, whenever the details which need to be processed after the end of the form, which is data to be printed of the end of the form, if you want to display anything, like how we'll be doing in the end of selection in the classical report, at the end of that processing, if you want to display anything, you are using the end of selection event. Similarly, if you want that in the form level, so you have to use the concept of final window. Okay, the concept of final window. So firstly, let me keep here. Okay, final secondary window. For example, if I want to increase the width of this, okay, width of this window, okay, here we will be having output options. So now you will be seeing one block called as position and the size. Okay, position and size. So if you go for the left margin, okay, from the left of the page, okay, how much you want to occupy, after that my text has to be printed. That tells the left. Similarly from the top, for example, my dear, I'll show you in the paint. Okay, for example, this is my page. Okay, this is my page. In this page, I want to print some text, okay, inside the page, but it should be started here. Okay, the page is here, but my text should be started from here. Okay, so that means there is a gap, right? So you have to take how much left has to be, left space has to be occupied. Similarly for the right, similar for the top, for the right, for the below. So that's what the position and size will tells you. For example, if I take it as a 2, okay, so let's assign the 1. Input must be in the form, okay, it's not taking comma. Okay, now you can see from the left it is 2, from the top it is 1. So every time you are trying to change this left margin, because for example, in this window you return some text. Okay, you've returned some text, but the preview of that text you are not going to see here itself. Okay, here itself you are not going to see. So for that, you are going to see the, after you have to execute the smartform. After that, you have to go for the preview. Okay. And after that, you will get the output. There are 4 or 5 steps need to be done if you want to display the form level. Okay. Every time you have to check this. This is the most irritating in the smartphone, I can say, because the preview is not there. Every time you have to adjust the size, instead of this adjusting position and the size in the painter level. This is the painter. Okay, so here you can adjust the width. If you drag to the right or top or bottom, so automatically width is increases. For example, if I reduce the width also, see, now you can see now the width is, the height is reduces. So now the top is reduces. So similarly, that depends upon where you want to put this particular window. So you can take or you can adjust according to that. So my window is ready. So for this, you can append one good label, uh, title I can say, or title. Okay, copy title. Okay, so and this is the title of the window. So this window is created. Inside this window, I want to write some text. Okay, right click on the window. Okay, right click on the window. So you will be having create. You will be having the text. Okay, text. You can go for it. So now you can see for the text editor, it is opening the smart form. So you have to access the smart form. Otherwise, you can go for the text editor. Okay, click on this. Okay, every time it is triggering smart. Okay, like this, you would see. If you are not able to see, here will be having a go to change editor. You can click. Okay, if you are not able to see this. So this, for example, sales orders. Okay, this is the text I want to include in my form. Go back. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so firstly, let me see how the preview of that form is. After that, whether the text we are giving, whether that is coming in the form or not. Let me check. Okay, let me activate this. So much of irritating. Okay, activate. So execute and again execute. So the output device to print that form is LP0. This is the default device. So our text is printed. Sales orders. So now, so I want to display some header information. That means sales document number, who created that sales order, when it was created, at what time it was created. But in the item section, I want to display in a tabular format. For example, if I show in the diagrammatical manner, this is the sales document. Okay, and the next is who created this sales order, and the next is who created this, sorry, at what date the sales order is created, at what time the sales order is created. This is header, but in the item details I want to display in the tabular format. Okay, in the tabular format I want to display. Okay, so if you want to close this form painter, so where you can adjust this windows, so here you will be having a form painter. So you can close. If you want, you can put. Okay, this is the way how you can put. So title, which is the text. So now here is the web properties, output options. So now this is the window. So I created. So the next one is I'll create an 8 more windows. Okay, 8 more windows. So to get the sales order header and the sales order basic details for the header level. Okay, for example, create window. So for this, where is that? Here, let me adjust here. Okay. Here itself, I adjust. So in this window, which is VBELN, okay, VBELN underscore ESO. Okay. So for this window, I'm going to create another text. Okay, that is the, so the text we will be having every time it is triggering. That's the problem. If it is supporting the MS Word, that doesn't matter to you. This rental system is not supporting. Okay. So before we design the layout, so firstly, let me written down the logic first. After that, we'll try to design a form. Okay. So for that, you need to have the structure first. Okay, you need to have the structure first. So for that, let me declare one structure types begin of 𝑡𝑦 So in this structure, I'm going to define as VBLN underscore VA, the next one, which is a sales document, ERDAT type. This is sales order creation date. Next, ERN name, who created this sales order. The next one is ERZED, when it, at what time it was created, which tells you the ERZED. TYVBAK. Okay, like this, you can define another structure TYVBAP. So for this, I'm going to take that as, for example, personal. If I take the NETPR, okay, NETPR for the net price, okay. Let me close this. That's it. Let me check the syntax. Let me assign to local object. So now TYVBAK, TYVBAP is different. Okay. TYVBAP. Okay. Activate. Okay. So now our structure is ready. Let's declare an internal table for those. Global data, LT, VBAK, okay, type, table of that structure name, TY, VBAK. Next is LSVBAK, type, TY, VBAK, LT, VBAP. So let's copy this for declaring for the internal table TY underscore VBAP. So the next one is structure type TY VBAP. So let's save it. So now our internal table is ready, our structure is ready. So each and everything is ready. So now we have to written down our custom logic. So for that, you need to go to the initialization and you can append some. So here, if you take any input parameters, you can assign like a parameter or select option. Similarly, if you take any output parameters, okay, if you take any output parameters and also assign what are the output parameters, so you'll be having the internal tables. For example, 𝐿𝑇-𝑉𝐵𝐴𝐾. Similarly, for the 𝐿𝑇-𝑉𝐵𝐴𝑃. Similarly, if you want, you can assign the work areas also. So for that, you will be having the select VBELN, ERTAT, ERNEM, ERZET from VBAK into corresponding fields of table. What is our internal table? LT VBAK. For example, I'm going to make as up to 30 rows because in the header level, I want to print one record. If I use the into up to 30 rows, because it's a single text mean it is printing only single value. How come it is printing? If you do like this, so that means whether you can take the single value, that means select single, or at least you can perform the read table. Okay, at least you can perform the read table so that you will be get those read table LTVBAK into LSVBAK. For example, index 1. Okay, if LTVBAK is not initial, I'm going to perform and for all entries VBLN postnap NETPR from VBAP into corresponding fields of a table LT VBAP for all entries and that base table. How you are going to check those entries which tells you the where condition. LT back VBEL. Okay, let me save it. Check the syntax. Okay, LS VBAK is unknown, but there is a field of LT VBAP. Okay, so let me see here whether LT VB LS VBAK is added, but in the initialization we are not defined. So let me do that also. LS VBAK. Similarly, LS. Okay, no problem. Let me save it. So now you don't get any errors. What are the output? What are the input parameters? You can simply assign in those sections. Okay. So now it's done. So the next one we are going to see about is our logic part is done. The next one, the designing part is pending. Okay, the designing part is pending. So till now, we are having the header. Header means title of our form, which is the sales orders. And similarly, if you want the value should be printed, right? Because those we retrieved in the form of internal table. So whatever we get, so we have to print those in the form level. So for that, you will be having the similar process. You can create a window. You can create window. And this window, for example, VBL. Okay. 𝑉BELN underscore yes group, which is the sales order. So for this, let me see form painter where this, okay, this is level. Okay, so I want to move to little. Okay, that's it. I don't want this much height. I want this enough. Okay, you can adjust according to that how you want to adjust it in that particular window. You can adjust. For that, you will be having the, so create a text for that. Okay, text. So go for the here, you will be having an editor. In the editor, you will be having, you can also written down here, or you can go for the go to change editor. So now you can see that is the sales document, okay, which is printed 𝑉BELN. So now when you go back, you don't need to save. It's automatically, you will receive a message, text changes were applied. So this is the message you received. Okay. So the next one is for text. Okay. Like this, you can take 𝑉BELN txt like this, you can take. Okay. And after this, see, this is the sales doc. So now I want to print the sales document, which I get from the 𝑉BAK table. So that means, so for that, we will be created, okay, will be created another window. Okay, in those window, I'll print that text. For example, this, okay, page, right click, window. Okay, so for this, you will be having here, let me drag to here, because this, please place the besides the sales document window. Okay, let me place little this enough, I guess, because there is 10-digit number, that's it. So for this, I'm going to take as SO value. That means SO value. Okay, it does not take the spaces. Okay, for this, I'm going to take text. So in this, I'm going to print some value. Okay, go for the editor. Go to change editor. So now, if you remember when I discussed about the operation called as concatenate operation, where I discussed about the double ampersand. Double ampersand is used to join. Similarly, the single ampersand is used to print the value. Okay, is used to print the value. So what value we are printing? Whatever the we got into the vocabulary. Okay, ampersand, start with the ampersand for printing value, that vocabulary name unless VBAK hyphen but field name, which is the VBL. Okay, close with the ampersand. This is compulsory. Okay, start with the ampersand, close with the ampersand. In between that, you have to, where you get those value, you can do like this. Go back. Okay, applied. So for this, uh, similarly, SO sales order value, you can take like this. Okay, sales order. Give me a second. Sales order value like this. Let me save it. Okay. So now the sales document is printed. So now the next one we are going to see is, okay, let me drag little, okay, for getting the wide range of preview. I'm setting the 75%, okay, 75%, so that you could see the form painter in very much longer and the larger. Okay, so for this you will be created another window. Create window, you can adjust here, okay, here. So in this I'm going to reduce some width for it, so for that I'm going to take the text as, okay. So for this, let me drag to little right so that you can append some titles. So create it on. So that means when the sales order is SO created. Okay. For this window, I'm going to create another text, which I'll be append some text, hard-coded text. Go for the editor, go to change editor. So now you can see here like created on. Okay, ready. So the now I'll create another window. Window. Okay, so for this created by, sorry, not the created by. Firstly, we'll print the value. After that, we'll take another field. So that means SO. Okay. Uh, created value. Okay, copy this and paste here. Let me save it. So now is this window? Yes, this is a window, but this created on created value. Okay, that's fine. Right click and create another text. Okay, create another text. So go for the editor. Go for the editor and simply you can take for the remaining fields also. ls vbak, the field name is ERDAT when the sales order was created. So like this, if you want any extra things need to be added, so you can take like this. This is the process, how you can design the window, how you can hard code some of the text, and how you can print some value which we receive from the internal table. Okay, now it's done. So remaining two fields you can add. Okay, this is the general process. Let me save it. So now, as I said, the secondary window is only for the fixed width. For example, if the items are increased, okay, if the items are increased, that means that fitted is that those items is not fitted into the current page. So, so for that, you need to take the main window. Okay, if you want to display any data in the form of a tabular format, so you have to take a table. Okay, table. For example, we'll design the main window. We'll design table in the main window because it's for the continuous output. Right click on the main window. You can click on create. You will be having the table. Okay, table. Click on this. So now you would see let's close the form painter. Okay, you would see the so many things in it. So before we go on for it, go for the data level. Okay, so if you look at the internal table, so whatever the records are there in the internal table, one by one it will be fetched in the form of a table. For example, so what is the internal table I want to know, which is the item table, 𝐿𝑇𝑉𝐵𝐴𝐾. Here internal table into the work area, sorry, VBAP. Okay, VBAP. So now if you want restrict the from I want 1 to 10 rows like that, if you want to do anything like that, so you can take. Okay, if you don't want, you are not going to be taken that. Okay, and the next one you will be having here is, once you assign that internal table, looping it, so go for the table. For example, there will be in the internal table, we are having 3 columns. Okay, 3 columns. And this 3 columns, okay, in this 3 columns, so I'm going to take that as, I'm going to assign some width for the each of the column. You have to divide, right? So for this column, I want this width. For this column, I want this width. So you have to divide that. So for that, you will be having here will be having the details, right? Go for it. Okay, this is the maximum table width. Okay, so you can take, this is the one for the 1 column, second column, third column, fourth column, fifth column. So as of now, we are having the only 3 columns. For example, the first column I'm going to take as 5. Okay, 5. Similarly, for the 5, the next column I'm going to take as 4. The third column, let me save it. Okay. So after you assigning it width of the columns, you can go for the table painter. Okay. After you get this, okay, after you get this, so here you will be having how your table design has to be. There will be so much of patterns is giving how your table has to design. Here you will be having a select pattern, right? Click on this. So these are the different patterns. If you go with the display framed patterns, okay, like this, you would see this is completely table, right? Whatever the pattern you want, you can select those. Okay, let me save it. Please activate immediately. Okay, then only the changes will be reflected. And when it comes to the data output options, it does not have anything. And after that, for example, if you look at any table, okay, if you look at any table, 3 layers. One is the header. Header is nothing but column labels. Okay, column labels, column names. So you have to print that, right? So for that, you will be having the concept of header. Okay, and wherever the data is there, that is exist in the body. Body means here in the table you will be having the main area. Okay, main area. So in those we will be printed text. So that means whatever we got into the work area, So we'll simply loop at and we'll do that in the main area. And the next one you will be having is footer. So this is particularly will be useful whenever you want a grand total should be displayed in the form of a in the footer section after getting all the sales orders. So you have to use the concept of that particular footer section. So these are the three different layers which is there in the table. Okay, so this is the way. So now let's do that. Okay, so if you see in the table, there will be and line type is added, which is L type 1. So where this is exist, if you go with this details, this is the line type. Okay, how you divide it, your internal table, the same way will be added here also. So now I want to add some columns, right? So for that, right click on the header, create, you will be having the table line. Okay, click on this. So now table line is added. But how many number of columns we have in the item level? We are having the 3 columns. So for that, you can select here line type, how many number of columns we divided when we assign the width for the internal table, it will be captured automatically. Okay. So now you can see in the header, there only one line is added. If you click on this, now automatically 3 cells is added. Okay, 3 columns is added because we divided our table as 3 columns. How many number of columns you divided in the table, the same way will be reflected. Let's append some text for it. Window, create the cell, right click, create text. Okay, just go for the out general attributes and create some text. Okay, for this, I'm going to take as go to change editor as sales document. Go back. Okay, similarly for the cell 2, this is the column label. Create text. Okay, create, go to change editor. So now you can see that as created, sorry, not the created, sales item. Okay, go back. Similarly, for the next cell also create text. Editor, go to change editor. So now you can go for the net price. Okay, net price. Go back. Okay, so after this, so we appended the column label. So now we have to do the body part where the data is printed. Similarly, you can take table line like how we take for the header section. Create table line. Once if you select the line type, it will be captured automatically. How many number of columns we divided. Similarly, the 3 text, the 3 cells are created, the 3 columns are created. Similarly, you can create text for it. So now we print the value from the work area. So where we got, we looped into the table, right? Whenever we create a table in the main window, go to change editor. So go for it. Ampersand ls vbap Let's close this. Like this, you can print values for the remaining columns also. Okay, so here you go to change editor. So now you can go for the ampersand ls vbap personal, okay, which is the sales item. Let me save it. Okay. So now similarly for the last cell, which is the net price. So for this, let me go for it. Go to change editor. So for this, ampersand ls vbap personal. Sorry, not the personal, which is NETPR, which is net price. Go to change editor. So go for it. NETPR. Go back for the F3 shortcut for the go back. Let me save it. So now let's check the syntax. Do we get any errors? Okay, ls vbap vbln has no defined value, no defined value, no defined value, even though we are returning in this, because if you observe here, whenever you written down the logic, we are not defined, because even though that's the warning. So let me define that lsvbap also, so that you would remove that, okay, that warning also. Let me save it, check the syntax. So now you can see there is nothing, okay, f8. So one more important point we have to understand here is, whenever you will generate a smart form, one function module is created. This is the function module which will be generated by SAP. Okay. And you can execute, even if you want to call the smart form into the program level, well, technically termed as driver program. You can go for it. Okay. Let's execute directly. This is the default device for the printing. The compiler had to be personal or not compatible. Okay, so we are not following the source and the target. Slash and smartforms. That is the code issue, not the layout issue. Because the structure is different. The way how you return the query is different. Personal NETPR only will be writing. Let's see in the, okay, the type is different. Personal underscore VA. Let's activate this. So now execute again. Execute. Execute. F8 for the print preview. So now you can see. Okay. Sales document 1 and the created on. So after this, you would see the items for that. Okay. You would see the items for that. 1146 11552451119146. Similarly, if you want to Okay. If you want to display some grand total, see after having the end of this net price in the footer section, so I'm going to display that. Okay. So for that, let's declare that also. For example, let's do that. So in the page one, you will be having the, let me declare a variable globally which holds the total. For example, LV uh, net price like this. You can take like as a variable. So the type is NETPR. Okay. Here, if you go with the main window where we can design the table, here we'll be having a calculation section. So previously we looping it and we'll take another variable and we're increasing to that if you want to calculate. So in the smart form, you don't need to be perform those kinds of code for the calculations particularly. Here we'll be having the operation. What type of operation? So whether you want to perform total or mean value or number, I want to perform total. For what field you are going to perform? Mention along with the work area. NETPR. Okay. So now the target field name where it is going to move that total, where we declare the okay as a global. Okay. So after looping it, when it is looping is completed, it will be printed all the things. Okay, one by one it will be added. After end of that, it will be printed. So similarly, so that is calculation is done. So we have to print that, right? So that means we have to do in the footer section. Similar. Create table line. Okay, select the line type. You will get 3 columns because we divided into 3 columns. Cell 9, create. So you can go for in this way. Right click, create text, output options, web properties, general attributes, change editor. So now you can see, you can write down like a grand total. Grand total, go back. And the last cell, let's print that variable where we got that. Okay, text editor, go to change editor. So now you can see that as ampersand, sorry, our variable name. What is our variable name? NETPR. Sorry, close with the ampersand, where we got the value for the grand total. Okay, let me check the syntax and save it. Let's activate that. 𝐿𝑣_NETPR has no defined value because we are not initializing in the initialization section. Okay, if you want, you can initialize here also. 𝐿𝑣_NETPR. Let me save it, check the syntax and activate. Execute, 𝐵_𝗿, print preview. Now you can see the total of the 50, 60, 90. Sorry, 110, 110 plus 35, 145.35. You would see the 145.34. Now you have the question for the sales document is printing 1, but the sales document for the items is different. Okay. If you understand, we are not based upon that particular what we can say, because we read an internal table with the index one, but how we can fetch the item records is different. Even we are not use the input also. Okay, so that's the reason. And when we go back, how we can debug? You can go for the debug. Okay, so and this you will be having the, otherwise let's put the print preview. Here you will be having the, you can put the static breakpoint. Okay, that is the break hyphen point. Okay, this is the static breakpoint. We can say, because if other users is opened, okay, if the other users open also, so those users also breakpoint will be triggered, will be calling as breakpoint. If you talk about the dynamic breakpoint, break username, so that means that only triggers the my user only. That is the difference. Okay, and execute, 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 run preview. So now debugging has started. All the custom code which we will be return, which will be there in the global init. Okay, because we put the breakpoint, it will be triggered. So if you check here, 𝐿𝑑𝑣𝐵𝐴𝑘4, but we are reading only first. But the items we got is different. 𝐿𝑑𝑣𝐵𝐴𝑃. Okay, execute. This is the way how you can debug. And similarly, if you want to put the dynamic breakpoint, which will be applicable only for you, you can put your username, which is given for the SAP GUI username. Let me check. My username is King. So let me pass like this, break King. This is only this breakpoint, this debugging will be triggered to my user only. If even the other users open my form, it will not trigger. Okay, this is the way. Remaining things will be discussed by tomorrow.